Before we start this video, guys, I would just like to tell you that it is not made for kids. This video is also for adults to enjoy as well. Well, with that said, please enjoy the fucking video.
Rock and roll!
Hello everyone, Liam Fitzgerald here again, and it's time once again to review another great episode of Bob the Builder. Now before we start, I'd like to explain something to you I probably should have told you 2 videos ago. For my first 5 reviews, I want to dedicate an episode to each member of the main 5 machines to give them a chance to shine in the spotlight. Don't worry, other characters like Bob, Wendy and Spud will get their turns later on, but for now, I want to spend some reviews talking about the machines themselves. So, with that explained, let's proceed with today's review. So far, we've looked at my favourite Lofty episode and my favourite Scoop episode. What do you all say we keep this favourite episodes trend going by taking a look at my favourite episode regarding the rock and roll lover himself, Roley. I mean, come on, how can you not love this steamroller? He's kind, enthusiastic, sometimes a bit clumsy, and very musical.
Rocking and rolling, rolling and rocking, yeah!
I love Roley so much, and I know a certain user who does too. But the biggest thing that makes Roley stand out to me is his love for animals. Despite being a music lover, Roley has a huge soft spot for animals and nature. He acts like a gentle giant around them, and it's so heartwarming to watch. So you're probably all curious to know what my favourite Roley episode is. Well, sit back and enjoy today's review of another Season 3 episode, Roley's Tortoise. Let's begin. Roley's Tortoise is the 5th episode of Season 3. We open with Bob, Wendy and the machines building a bus stop out in the country. As Roley rolls the hardcore flat, Dizzy quickly spots a tortoise directly in front of him. Roley instantly takes a liking to the tortoise and names him Timmy. Bob and Roley bring Timmy back to the yard while Scoop and Dizzy head out to find his owner. Dizzy finds out that Mrs. Potts is looking for a tortoise, revealing that Mrs. Potts is the tortoise's owner. Meanwhile, Roley begins to struggle to stay awake watching Timmy and falls asleep due to the hot day. Then Pilchard accidentally knocks over the box, causing Timmy to escape. After Bird knocks over some of Farmer Pickle's lettuce, Bob mistakenly puts Timmy in Travis's trailer along with the other lettuce. Then Bob realizes that Timmy's gone, thus waking Roley up and worrying Mrs. Potts when she finds the box empty. We also learn here that the tortoise's real name is Tommy. Wendy returns and finds out about the tortoise being missing, just as Farmer Pickles returns with Tommy, with Roley and Mrs. Potts very relieved. Bob takes Timmy home to Mrs. Potts and puts him in a tortoise run to prevent him from escaping. Then Mrs. Potts tells Roley that he can come and visit Timmy whenever he wants to. And the episode ends with the machines discussing the day's events and Roley reassuring Bird that she'll always be his best friend. If I could pick one word to describe this Roley episode, that word would be heartwarming. Roley's Tortoise is such a sweet episode, hence why it won the title of my favourite Roley episode. First off, I adore the friendship Roley makes with Tommy. It feels like watching someone have a close bond with a pet, which I had with my first cat and currently still have with my dog. The reveal of Mrs. Potts being Tommy's owner honestly surprised me. I didn't think she had any other pets other than her dog Trampus, which we first learned about in Travis Paints the Town, hear in Pilchard's Breakfast, and finally see in Pilchard Steals the Show. Then again, this is Mrs. Potts we're talking about, the most fussiest person in the show.
I hope your rollers are nice and clean for Mrs. Potts. She's really fussy about her garden.
I really enjoyed Roley in this episode. When he first sees Tommy, he instantly takes a liking to him. And the way Tommy crawls towards Roley always melted my heart. It's like watching a baby crawl towards its parents. Then Roley becomes attached to Tommy as he watches over him protectively so that he doesn't escape. Which doesn't last long because he falls asleep. Can't really blame Roley since hot days can really make you sleepy. And plus, Roley's known for sleeping most of the time anyway. But once he wakes up and learns about Tommy's disappearance, Roley and Mrs. Potts begin to worry. He remembered to stay firmly still to avoid running over Tommy since he almost did at the start of the episode had it not been for Dizzy. And as we reach the end of the story, while Roley's happy that Tommy's home again, he's also very upset because he has to say goodbye to his new friend. This scene is very similar to the season 17 episode Luke's New Friend, where Luke had to do the exact same thing with a deer. And let's be honest, saying goodbye to a close friend is very hard to do, and I'm sure we've all had to go through that at some point. I know I have. But Roley cheers up when Mrs. Potts reassures him that he can visit Tommy whenever he wants to. Roley's love for animals is one of the things that makes him so lovable. Every time he befriends an animal, he always tries his best to help them the best way he can, and there are loads of episodes where this happens. This steamroller has the biggest heart of gold when it comes to animals. And that's one of the things that makes Roley so special to Bob's team. There is another character I'd love to talk about, and you're going to be pretty surprised who it is. It's Bird. Yep, you heard me. Not Bob, not Wendy, not even Dizzy, but Bird herself. Why? Let me explain. Bird surprisingly had an interesting side plot in this episode. While Roley and the team might have taken a liking to Tommy, Bird surprisingly didn't. I always believed that Bird grew jealous of Tommy, that he became friends with her best friend. When Pilchard accidentally knocks over Tommy's box, he begins to walk away slowly. And you'd probably think Bird would raise the alarm and tell Roley to wake up. Well, she doesn't. She just lets Tommy keep walking towards the exit and doesn't even bother to tell anyone. Bird, you little devil. And when Farmer Pickles comes into the episode, I believe Bird knocked over the lettuce on purpose to make Bob pick Tommy up and put him in Travis's trailer. Because after Farmer Pickles is gone, Bird sounds thrilled that Tommy's gone. And when Roley wakes up and eventually discovers that Tommy's gone, he asks Bird if he saw him, and Bird sounds like she doesn't care about the tortoise.
You see him, Bird?
But just before the episode ends, notice that Bird sounds a bit upset that Roley is still thinking about Tommy.
I'll miss that little fella.
But after Roley reassures her that she'll always be his best friend, Bird instantly feels happy again.
Oh, don't worry, Bird. You're still my best friend. Night-night.
I know it sounded like I was talking about Bird in a bad way, but this is just how I saw it in the episode. After all, jealousy can lead characters to do uncalled things. Just ask a certain tank engine in a certain movie. But I still love Bird in episodes, and this episode really shows how much she cares about Roley. Dizzy was also great in this episode. Just like Roley, she also takes a huge liking to Tommy, hence why she raised the alarm for Roley at the start of the episode. She sounded so disappointed when Bob told them that they couldn't keep Tommy due to him being an endangered species. She probably still misses that baby bird from Dizzy's Birdwatch, which, by the way, another great episode. The bit with Dizzy talking to Mrs. Potts always had me snickering when I was a kid.
I've lost my tortoise.
What does it look like?
Well, it's round, with 4 legs and a head.
We've just found your tortoise.
Oh, thank goodness.
Dizzy is just so innocent, isn't she? And if you're all worried about Roley ever seeing Tommy again after this episode, you don't need to be. Tommy appears again in the little mini short Roley's Rock Garden, which can be found on the Bob's Animal Friends VHS. You can tell Roley's delighted to see him again. And thankfully, no jealous birds. Also, I always loved Pilchard's reaction when Tommy stuck his head out. It was just so hilarious.
Wow. Wow.
And that's a wrap on all my thoughts on Roley's Tortoise. Roley is a sweet, gentle giant. Bird's role was unusual but interesting. And it was just a heartwarming story to enjoy, showing its love for animals. I think it's safe to say that I will definitely be covering more episodes that show Roley's love for animals in the future. So, I'm going to give Roley's Tortoise a 10 out of 10. Such a great story for this kind-hearted steamroller. I thank you guys so much for watching this Roley review. Feel free to leave your thoughts on this episode in the comments below, and remember to subscribe for more great reviews. Join me again soon, as our next main character will be none other than Muck himself. Which Muck episode will that be? Stay tuned to find out. I'm Liam Fitzgerald, and I will see you all again soon.